Both Sim Update 12 and World Update 12 are coming in the next few weeks for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It means that the sim is getting off to a very good start in 2023. Already, just last week, there was the update AAU, or the Avionics and Aircraft Update. This saw much needed improvements to many areas of the game, but I think many of you are going to be interested in what's around the corner. So in this video, we're going to take all the latest details from the recent Q&A video and dive into that. We'll start off with one of the most interesting upcoming features, which is the Antonov An-225. Now, this was the largest commercial cargo plane in the world, well, in history really. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in the Ukraine war on the 27th of February 2022. Microsoft then, along with their partners, have gone all out to try and recreate this plane in the sim. You can see the footage on the screen right here, and it seems they've spared no details. They've gone down to very fine details here, and we'll be exploring this much closer in an upcoming video very soon. But for now, we'll take a look at the footage we've got on hand. So yeah, this is a recreation of the plane. Microsoft have been working directly with Antonov in order to do this, and it's taken quite a long time, around about 2 years I think, to get to this point. They started long before the plane was actually destroyed. Now, in terms of the availability of the plane, it's going to be payware. It means you'll have to purchase it. It will cost $20, but Microsoft are really conscious about this price point and want the money to go towards good uses. Therefore, Microsoft have said they will be taking none of this money whatsoever and will be sending 100% of it to Ukraine, specifically to Antonov. They want to contribute towards the recreation and rebuilding of the real-world An-225. Now, they did expressly say that this hasn't been finalised yet, but this is their intent, and they're just waiting on finalising the documents for that. So, looks to be the direction that they really want to go in. Now, in terms of the plane itself, will it be available on PC? Will it be available on Xbox? Well, the answer to that is yes to both. It will be coming on a PC on the 27th of February 2023, so yeah, this year, just a few weeks away, and Microsoft really wanted to choose that date because it is the anniversary of the destruction of the plane. Now, the Xbox version will be coming a little bit later because it does require some extra code on the Xbox version of the sim to be put in place. Specifically, this is WASM, which will enable complex planes to be added to the console. So far more of the planes that are available on PC will be making the transition to console, and that of course will include the An-225. No release date yet for when the Xbox version of the plane will be coming out, although the roadmap does show March, so hopefully they will be able to stick to that. Now, that's not the only Antonov plane coming out, but there will be the Antonov An-2 as well, and you can see a little bit of the teaser on the screen for that plane whilst we talk. But let's move on to the other big updates for the year, or other big updates for the next few weeks. This, of course, is World Update 12, which is New Zealand. This is coming on the 24th of February. It's going to overhaul New Zealand in a pretty big way, as do many of the world updates, and will feature all the new items you can see on the screen right here. So new DEM and aerials, 4 new airports, 30 points of interest, 6 photogrammetry cities, 3 landing challenges, 3 bush trips, and 3 discovery flights. Although as we move through this, you'll see that there's actually a little more than 6 photogrammetry cities and some more than 4 airports. Now, in terms of the digital elevation maps, which will hopefully vastly improve the terrain in New Zealand, Microsoft enlisted the assistance of the New Zealand government. So they provided the relevant data, and we can see a sample screenshot of that data in action on the screen right here, looking pretty good. But world updates, many of you will no doubt be remembering the Canadian world update, the update for Canada, which really didn't go too well and had many problems, specifically with the photogrammetry cities. Now, Microsoft have been asked how they're going to avoid this in the future, and well, they went into some details on the recent Q&A. Essentially, they made some mistakes or used some poor quality data. It's something that they do want to avoid in the future, and basically insist, or assure really, that won't be happening again. But Microsoft don't want to leave it just there. They're going to fix these cities from Canada, and hopefully they should be the fixed cities, the improved cities, should be releasing alongside the New Zealand World Update. No guarantees though on that, Microsoft say, but it is something that they are aiming for. And of course, talking of broken cities, you can't talk about broken photogrammetry without also thinking about London, which is in a pretty poor state since the previous update some time back. Microsoft and Asobo are fixing London. This is something they are working on, but the release for that is still further down the line. In fact, Microsoft went on to say and did reiterate the point that the intent for Microsoft Flight Simulator is to update the entire world over time. At any rate, sticking with the World Update 12, as we said, we got the new digital elevation maps. Here's a list of all the airports we can expect to see. We might want to pause that if you want to have a closer look, that is. Meanwhile, here is a list of all the points of interest that are going to be put in, and I think there's around about 60 here, so some pretty good ones. As for the cities, those are listed right here. Of particular interest to me is Hobbiton. Bit of a surprise there, but Jörg Newman, head of Microsoft Flight Simulator, said you can't really do an update of New Zealand and not include Hobbiton. So yeah, that is going to be included. That should provide for some pretty interesting flyovers, right? And then we've got the landing challenges, bush trips and discovery flies. Landing challenges in particular sound quite interesting because Microsoft have said that this time round they would include landing challenges for helicopters. Seeing as helicopters were added back in November, that should be a pretty neat addition. So yeah, another reason to get out there in those helicopters once again. Moving on to Sim Update 12, this is coming in the middle of March. 14th of March is mentioned as the current release window. This is going to be a stability patch, so generally aiming at fixing some of the problems that are currently in the game. Additionally, it's going to bring some new languages into the game. This will be Korean and Turkish. Wisdom for Xbox is also going to be introduced, at least that's the current plans, that's still on track. And I know many people, the console players, have been waiting for this for a long time because they really do want to get their hands on those more complex aircraft. So what else is added into Sim Update 12? Well, there's a bunch of improvements. Some of these are for helicopters. One specifically is that turbines will now be able to use the governor. Additionally, engine trim support will be made available for helicopters, so this will allow simmers to have more fine control over their helicopters, a big step up there. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the sim, the number of engines that can be added to a craft and accurately simulated has also been increased. Previously, or currently, this is set to 4 engines. This is going to be increased all the way up to 16 engines. Asobo said this required a lot of work and a lot of optimization to achieve because obviously it's putting more strain on the hardware. So something that they thought if they wanted to go out, no point just moving from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8. You might as well do all the work needed so that you don't have to look at this again. So yeah, 16 engines per aircraft is now supported. There's also the option to control how much turbulence a plane experiences. They said this is something that was a bit of a tear in the community. Some people love the turbulence and being bounced around in their cabin. Other players, meanwhile, other simmers, really don't like the turbulence. So what Asobo set out to do was give players the option. So as from Sim Update 12, simmers will have the option to disable turbulence, and you're about to do this through the assistance option menu. Essentially, what this will do is disable the effect of turbulence on your plane, meaning that the plane will no longer bounce around. There's 3 settings here, so you can completely disable it, or have it on hard, or go for the middle ground. Either way, what is interesting here is that if you do disable turbulence, all it will disable is the bouncing around of the plane. It doesn't remove the effect of winds, gusts, or thermals, so you can still have all that complexity in there. So that is what we know currently about Sim Update 12. Meanwhile, let's put up the development roadmap. This is a brand new one, showing us what to expect for the first quarter of this year. And we've already discussed January, February and March, but what we can see on the far right of the roadmap is the content for April. Not going into too much detail here, very sparse, but gives us an indication as to what to expect. And we can see in April there is going to be World Update 13, the title of which is still to be announced. So there we have it, the latest state of everything with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it looks like it's making good inroads into 2023 with plenty of content coming throughout the next couple of months. Going to be a pretty big year by the sounds of things. Here is the full roadmap. We can see a few pieces have been filled in already with some screenshots here. This is the content that's either been released or has so far been revealed. Further along though, we can see all the additional blanks which are tentatively scheduled for the rest of the year. At any rate, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.